Hey y'all, how's it going? Hope you're having a good week. I told you a couple of videos back that I would talk about some channels that I enjoy, and I don't know, about every third or fourth video I'm gonna just drop a channel name to you and put a link in my description to a channel that I enjoy, and they don't know I'm doing it. It's not a tit for tat kind of thing, or you promote me, I promote you. They don't even know I'm promoting or telling you about their channel. I'm just sharing it with you because I like the channel and some of you may enjoy it too. But the one I want to talk about today is called Shut Up and Ride MTB. This is a channel that centers mainly around mountain biking. Creator's name is Matt, and he is I think he's around 60 years old, and the dude is in great shape. And he rides mountain bikes like a maniac, and his videos are so fun. But the best thing about his videos is that he tells us, every video he tells a story. Now, it's not a narrated story like I do, but if you'll watch and listen, you'll see there's a theme and a story to the theme on every video. He's released 2 videos that I like really in particular. One is one that was recently released called Free Range Kids. It's a short video, 5 or 6 minutes long, but he talks about how kids used to be, and he actually runs into a kid I think he's in Washington riding some trails, and he runs into some free range kids. And the video is fantastic, and it will renew your faith in kids, that they're still getting out in the outdoors and doing the things that they did. But Matt tells the story about these free-range kids. Another video he did that really got me hooked on his channel was a video called The Church of Dirt. And you'll just have to watch it. He just has a love for the outdoors. He has a great personality. He's a great storyteller. If you subscribe and follow his channel, you will be really, really entertained and happy. And you'll leave every video knowing that you just heard a great story. So I want to talk about Shut Up and Ride MTB. I'm going to put a link to their channel right at the top below in the description. So you guys, if you'd like to go take a look, go ahead and do that. Okay, let's get into some Bigfoot stories. I've got 2, maybe 3. I'm not sure how many I'm going to fit in this video. But of course, all 3 of them are good. All right, here we go.
Creole crawfish are the best. You'll be hooked on for life if you taste a single spoon. You gonna need it when you go.
This is an exciting UFO encounter sent to me by Sue, who I think lives in California. I've had a UFO sighting in California off of Highway 5 between Chowchilla and Modesto. The setting was among rolling hills, where the eastern hills on my right were 1,000 to 1,500 foot range, and the western hills were only a couple of 100 feet at the most. I was driving to San Jose from New Mexico a few days before Christmas in 2002 with my 20-year-old son, who was asleep in the front seat. It was close to sunset, so the low hill put us into the shadow, but the high hills on our right were still in bright sunlight. There was no buildings at all in this narrow valley I was driving through, but there were crops in the fields. From a couple of miles ahead, I spotted the strangest sight. It was 2 UFOs in bright sunlight hovering about 150 feet above the right side of the highway, one above the other, but the top one was recessed several yards to the right of the lower one. They both had light blue lights in a ring around a larger bottom of the crafts, and they were in turn slowly lighting up the pale blue light and fading it out, only to have the other bring up the pale blue light, ringing its side. They were both silver, about 10 car lengths each, with very bulbous, rounded, and flattened tops attached to a bigger bulbous, rounded bottom. No sharp edges at all, if that makes sense. You could not distinguish where the blue light was coming from, but it lit up the whole side of the craft as the sun slowly put them into the shadow as it set. The higher hills were still in full sunlight on my right. You could not see the pale blue light until they were in the shadow of the low western hills. My reaction was so odd as it was completely calm and just in wonder at why they would be monitoring the busy holiday traffic along this lonely stretch of the longest highway in the state. Then I noticed that ahead of me, no car brake lights were lighting up. No one was swerving, trying to avoid or going near this odd sight or trying to pull over. Everyone seemed to be taking this sight of two alien craft completely calmly. It occurred to me that the pale blue light was probably sending out calming waves to keep the traffic moving steadily. I did not even think to wake up my son until we were very close to them, as I wanted to know if it was helium balloons or some hoax tethered to the ground. I finally reached over and woke my son in time to see it closely, and told him to watch for tethering, but there was nothing from the ground holding them in place. And then we were past them. Once past them, he went immediately back to sleep, and I completely forgot about them the moment they were no longer visible. I did not even think to look in my rearview mirror as we kept on going. The only reason I remembered this is because 2 days later at my parents' house, the radio was on and the local news came on, and there was a short interview of a woman about 150 miles from where I saw these craft saying she saw one hovering above the road that she was on the day before. I said out loud, but to myself as no one was with me, no, it was two crafts, one was above the other. And then I realized what I said. The whole sighting came back to me in a flash in distinct detail. If I had not heard her report, I would never have remembered my sighting. That pale blue light must have also wiped out memories of seeing the craft once they had went by, as had happened to me. My son to this day does not remember the incident. My lingering question is, why would they monitor traffic? They come all this way to do just that? Thanks for reading this if you do. I just found your channel a short while ago, and I can't wait for new stories to come forth and for you to read them. I love your channel and listen to each video several times. Thank you very much, Sue. And you've got a lot of questions in here that I can't answer. And I'm not an expert at any of this stuff, Bigfoot, UFO, whatever. I just dig the stories. But this is amazing. And your assumption that maybe your memory was changed or, for lack of a better term, wiped out. You know, I hear that a lot. As a matter of fact, when I told my UFO stories, I had several emails from people saying hypnosis and things like that can bring those memories forth. Who knows? I don't know. But this UFO phenomenon is real. It's the government acknowledges it. It's even lately been all over the news. And I think I told you all not too long ago about Leslie King's book, UFOs, where she interviews military people. It's a very well-written scholarly book on UFO sightings. And these people are not crackpot. They're the real thing. And they stand by their story. So this UFO phenomenon is something to pay attention to, I think. Okay, Sue, thank you so much for sending that in. I loved it. Thanks. This encounter is sent to me by Kate, who is from the state of Maine. My experiences would start as a child of around 4 years of age, but would continue for many years. When I was a little girl growing up in West Auburn, Maine, we had a horse farm and 60 acres of woods behind our 4 pastures. We lived in the country. I was born in 1959, and in my younger years was visited often by what I thought was a nightmare. A gorilla in my window, and I would start screaming. I was so scared. My bedroom was on the 2nd story, and his face took up the whole window. For many years, I thought I was dreaming it. I had that dream a lot. Until in recent years, when I read that Sasquatch liked to look in people's windows, and it was then that I realized I was not dreaming. They had approached me in my younger years. I spent a lot of time in our woods riding my horse cross-country skiing or just on long walks and digging for old bottles. We had 2 ponds and a flowing stream about 15 feet or so wide that separated our property from the local ski area. While back there were a lot of eerie silences at times. I remember noticing that it was too quiet, like time stood still. At a different time was in 1979. I had some friends that lived in Sebago Lake in Maine. They lived in a cabin in the middle of the woods on a long hilly road only traveled by its residents, so you could go up and down it and not expect to see any other cars. I was driving up there one night, and it was curvy, and I was coming around the last bend in the road, and there on the side of the road was an at least 8 to 10 foot tall, huge Sasquatch. He was massive. He had to be 4 feet across from shoulder to shoulder. He was brownish blonde in color. He had a heavy brow and high cheekbones. His skin was dark, and it looked like he had sort of a beard, and kind of like he had bangs. He had a big head, and he looked both ape-like and human. Hair looked thick, and I guess about 3 or 4 inches long all over his body. He just stood there motionless, looking at me. I was pretty freaked out. When my headlights were on him, we made eye contact. He was not 10 feet from me. I just sped up and flew into my friend's driveway and ran in saying, "I just saw a huge Bigfoot." I call my third encounter the Mad Squatch. It happened in North Gorham, Maine. We had a pig roast up on our hill at our cabin, which was very rustic. I had a friend visiting from Colorado, and my boyfriend and his friends went out on the snowmobiles. We were hanging out inside the cabin, and we started hearing these guttural growls like no noise I'd ever heard before or since. It got louder and louder, and then it started making these kinds of screams, and the cabin began to shake, and we could see claws coming through the plastic on the windows. I ran towards the door and put the broom handle through the loop in the door, and as I did, something was pulling and shaking the door on the other side. Every time we changed our position in the cabin, that side would be attacked. We were crazy scared and out of our minds. My boyfriend had a gun and bullets, and I, who had never seen one before, suddenly, instinctively knew how to load it. But neither I or my friends were going to step foot outdoors. We climbed the ladder, and whatever that screeching thing was landed on the roof above us. The screams were the scariest thing you ever heard. It's impossible to replicate. Just as we thought we were going to die, we could hear the snowmobiles coming back, and whatever that thing was ran off. We told the guys what just happened, and they went out to look for tracks. They thought we were crazy until they saw the claw marks on the windows. I moved out to Colorado and spoke to a girl out there of my experiences. She told me she had a telepathic experience through the window with a Sasquatch. She was going up her stairs, and there on the landing between the stairs was a Sasquatch in her window. It said that we want to communicate with people, but because of our size and scary appearance, they run or shoot at us. It conveyed that there were once dinosaurs and other animals that have gone extinct, and they are here to warn us of what is to come. They had to look enough like us, but also be of prehistoric man with its survival instincts. I had put those experiences out of my mind, and I buried them until I saw people speaking of their experiences on your channel, and it all came back to me. Most of the pictures people have taken really don't look like the one I saw, except one that gave me an instant flashback. Well, Kate, thank you very much for the story. One of the first, that experience where the beast is attacking the cabin has had to be terrifying. I would have to be put in an institution after that. But then the woman that you talked to that telepathically communicated with the Bigfoot, that's hard. That's a hard thing to follow when someone just tells you, yeah, I had this mind speak with this creature out in the woods. However, there are a lot of theories that believe that these things are of sort of a paranormal type creature and that they can communicate with us that way. I've never had that experience, and I would say probably most people haven't. All that said, it's a very interesting story. 3 encounters in your life. That's amazing. Kate, thank you so much for sending that in. All right, that's going to wind this video up. Thank you all so much for watching. Hey, I'm getting a few videos out. This will be the 4th one in 1 week. But thank you for watching the video, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks. Bye.